Hello. The Staches and Glasses podcast is back. We got the 3 camera set today with Tabs in house as she typically is. And then we got L Boogie, Lewis on the Zoom.
Yes, live from Coruscant.
Live, live from Coruscant. Also known as Chatsworth, where they film all types of adults imagery, videography. Yes, it's great stuff. All right, so we're getting at this a little late. We typically do stuff right after we see a premiere or see a season or something, but I felt it best that we all schedule some free time on a Sunday and say, "Hey, let's talk about the Acolyte."
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Well, and also that gave us time. Erik and I watched almost the full season again today, just to reiterate everything that we thought, plus get new thoughts, and just fell in love all over again.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent all day looking at Instagram posts and TikToks of the Acolyte. So same thing, right? Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. So you liked it.
Love it.
Like, reiterate your thoughts, please.
Yeah. Well, and I guess just to say, like, spoiler warning, obviously, we're going to spoil the entire season. But also, again, spoiler warning, I freaking love this show. I love The Acolyte.
Spoiler warning. I'm not surprised. Spoiler warning. My pants.
Oh, boy.
Engorged off the Acolyte.
Oh, boy.
It's not a kid show.
No, not at all. Very sexy, for sure.
Right? There are a lot of, you got to tap into that whole emotional desire thing with the use of the Force. Semantic.
I texted earlier in the group chat, I was like, falling in love with Jason from The Good Place was not on my bingo card this year.
But here we are.
But here we are. Yeah.
Who would have thunk? Not me.
I'd be his acolyte all day, every day. Let's go.
Wow. Okay.
In front of your husband, man. Wow.
Clearly, I'm not using the dark side the right way. I got to do better on that front. Lewis, you watched the premiere, or you watched the finale when it aired, or did you wait a little bit?
I actually watched it when it aired, dude. Yeah.
Nice.
From my perspective, dude, thankfully we're coming back to this. We reviewed the first few episodes when it came out weeks ago. Here we are at the end of the road. 6 episodes later, right?
8 episodes.
Eight episodes later.
6 episodes later, but 8 episodes.
Yes. I like it. It's full circle. But yeah, dude, I saw it when it came out. I felt like I actually had to. If I may disclose, like, full disclosure, like, I kind of lost interest, unfortunately, after the premiere. But like I told you guys, after the big spoiler came out, I could not, like, it. It's a show of, I feel like it's a show of 2 halves. The first half was good, but it didn't, like, really key into my interest. But just like any other good fanboy, like when we reveal the bad guy, I'm like, okay, I'm in. Let's watch it every Tuesday as soon as it airs. I don't want spoilers, and you know what? It was an excellent finish to a really solid show. So yeah, that was my feelings of it. I know we're gonna get into more details later, but yeah, dude, I thoroughly enjoyed the last few episodes, especially, dude.
Yeah, I spoiler warning. I fucking loved it. And let me preface this whole deal. Yeah, right. Let me preface this whole thing with us being completely aware of the online vitriol that we've seen all across social media and blogs and things like that. People were giving it like, this is the worst Star Wars ever. Andor is the greatest thing ever to happen to mankind.
Disagree on both points.
And they were just shitting all over it, man. Like, for all types of reasons. And I'm like, why can't Star Wars fans? Of course we hate every fucking thing that we see and tell everybody that it's done the wrong way.
Yeah.
Hi, we're Star Wars fans. I'm going to shit all over this fucking episode, even though I don't know what the fuck is going on because I'm too consumed with my own ego.
Yep. That's 100% it.
So, and I said this at the beginning, and I'll say it again, and I'll repeat this until the end of this podcast. I signed up for Space Wizards and Laser Swords. And what did I get?
Space wizards and laser swords.
Yes, sir.
Interjected with martial arts.
Yes. We're doing Crouching Tiger, Hidden Jedi.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah,
I am down with that.
Good.
We're doing Wire Fu in the year of our Lord 2024, and I am so happy to see it.
I'm so here for it. And
the year of our Yord.
Yeah.
Yord. Oh, Yord.
R.I.P. in peace, Yord.
Oh, you and that busted ass haircut.
Oh,
rest in peace.
I will say though, I'm a sucker for good action, just a sucker. But this in particular, I'm going to say it is some of the best lightsaber fighting, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll venture to say that it was the best we've been given.
Yeah.
Like the fight choreography in this whole thing was just, man, nothing like we've ever seen. Well,
not since
the prequels.
Not since Duel of the Fates. Sorry, Lewis.
Oh no, I was gonna say a Revenge of the Sith, but whatever.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith was great. Obi-Wan versus Anakin was great. I just, the nerdgasm I had in 1999 when the dual-bladed lightsaber came out. Me in the theater, I was like,
oh, excuse me.
Sorry, I need to take a bathroom break. Somebody soiled my pantaloons.
But again, even with I keep calling him Manny because that's his actual name, but Chimera. When he breaks apart the lightsaber and does basically the dual thing, it was just like, thank you, sir. Can I have another?
Yep. So again, a lot of the show had been shit on throughout the internet, but we obviously loved it. So let's talk about some things that we loved about the show. Tabs, why don't you go first in terms of like the standout moment or the standout scene or whatever across all 8 episodes of the show?
So that's kind of tough because again, I'm a sucker for action, and the lightsaber fights were just intense and amazing. Rewatching them again, I was just as delighted as I was the first time I saw him.
By the way, we rewatched the entire series again today. We spent a lot of time on the couch.
We did
today. It's time well spent. But go ahead.
Productive. You were productive then. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great use of the weekend.
Exactly. I still loved Trinity in the opening moments of the show. I thought she was incredible. I loved what they did with her, was disappointed with the rest of her, but that's okay. She was great.
Yes.
Just Manny Jacinto fucking killed it. Every scene that he was in, I couldn't get over.
I bet you the producers for Top Gun Maverick were like, we cut all of this guy's lines?
Yeah. You idiots.
Yeah.
Fucking morons.
You idiots. Could have sold more tickets.
Yeah. Actually, I hadn't seen or still haven't seen that movie, but I learned that he was in it and I was like, oh, okay, that's incentive to see it. And then I learned all his lines were cut. I was like, no, I'm out again.
Honestly, I've only seen Top Gun Maverick once, so I don't even remember him being in the movie. And that's just, it could be they didn't do a good enough job of highlighting him, or my 40-plus-year-old brain is mush and it just doesn't remember things as well as it used to. But
all these Filipinos look alike. Whatever.
he is Filipino, right?
Yes,
we need you to confirm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was
as the token
guy.
representative, I can confirm his heritage.
I researched everything about him. So
you did. Why am I not surprised?
Yeah.
Deep dive.
Very deep. No, long story short, everything about Manny Jacinto, like I said, pulling the lightsaber apart, you find out it's a dual blade. That was fucking cool. Just his lines like, no. Like,
so you could read my mind?
Like, just so good. He killed it for me. Give me more of him. Whole show about him.
If they do a season 2, I'm pretty sure he's going to be very few lines cut. Okay. El Boogie, what'd you think? Or in terms of like favorite scene, favorite moment, what do you got?
I think it's like, I know Tabitha's already mentioned it, but the action in this show is just top notch. We Chimera or the Stranger taking down a dozen Jedi on that planet. Kalnaka, our introduction to our first, or at least our first live action Wookiee Jedi, taking down the other Jedi at the Witch's Temple. Incredible action. Like it was such a great, like well choreographed. The best action pieces are the ones that tell a story. Like that was one that told a great story from both from like the perspective of Soul, you know, trying to not harm his fellow master, and then this poor Padawan, God, what's his name, Torben.
Yes,
he was still a Padawan that he's just trying to survive. You know,
he wanted to go home.
Yeah,
he was just like, "Can we go home now?" It's just like a child. Can we go home now? Like
it's boring here, Dad. Can we go?
Oh God, fine.
But fine. Let me fight for my life. But yeah, like it was just a skill difference, and like you can tell how much more skill Kalnaka was, and then of course it culminates in the final episode. Like the action is just top notch. Kudos to the directors, the action choreographers, whoever shot those scenes. You know, there's a wonderful poetry in that, like the May versus Osha, while Soul versus Chimera the Stranger.
Oh yeah, happening. The jump cuts.
Yes, dude. It was just like
outstanding.
In lesser hands, really it would have looked corny. It would have looked cheesy, but this one, like, it literally made me go, oh, like when they did, but they, you know, when the twins threw like kicks that blocked each other, and then it cut into like
they had the same exact moves back to back.
Exactly. It was like I said, I know it sounds corny, but it was poetry in action. So I loved it. You know, and again, the favorite parts has to be, I know I'm going to leave it to Tab to fawn over Manny Jacinto, but I love Lee Jung Jae. I think that's how it's pronounced. Again,
Master Squid Game.
Exactly. Dude, so the guy apparently learned English just for this role. So incredible flex. And I'm sure you freaking prequel lovers would love the fact that he also like mirrored his performance against Qui-Gon Jinn. So I'm like,
no wonder I love him.
So a lot of his little mannerisms, a lot of his little things. Yeah, I mean, I guess he is like the little bit of a tragic center of this whole story because, a lot of the action or a lot of the plot revolved around his decisions, you know, made when May and were young, and then later on, and the fact that hiding on. So yeah, he was an incredible piece of the action, and then so like I think it's just a well done, well acted show. Again, though, maybe we will talk about like the things that could have been better or was lacking, but for me, it was a show two halves because like I could have had the second half, more of the second half, and I would have loved it. And I think fanboys and all the little Star Wars haters would have loved it more. But they were trying to tell a story, and hopefully that means they greenlight a second season. Because there's so much more left on the table.
Oh yeah, there's so much more.
We could do a whole episode on the last episode, which I'm pretty sure we're gonna do today. So that's what I love, dude. That's
to go back to what Lewis is saying really quick, like it's poetry in motion. Like you understand these characters more based off their fighting style. Like Manny Jacinto's character, like he's just brutal, but he's reckless. Like he makes impulsive decisions in the fight, and it's wonderful. Like absolutely. But also someone more trained or someone a little bit more like collected would have done better. Whereas Soul, I think, is more collected. He's obviously very emotional. That's part of the problem with his character is he's too emotional to be a Jedi, really. But he's so just collected and powerful and knows what he's doing. You're just like, dude, this guy.
So I could not nail down one moment or one scene that was that was good for me. So you guys touched on it: the lightsaber fights, the martial arts, the crouching tiger hidden Jedi type of fighting style. Like that was all awesome. But the thing that jumped out to me the most, and I literally jumped out of my seat when I saw it, and you remember this, the introduction of Darth Plagueis in live action. That is just something that I've been dying for since we've heard. Have you ever heard of Darth Plagueis alive? And now we're getting it. Now we're getting it. And obviously, you know, the Plagueis has been written in books. He's been mentioned in canon.
Yeah,
but
he's
we've
canon
never
'cause he was
visited.
mentioned in the prequel, so he is
Yeah.
canon.
So, you know, having this mystery figure pop out of the cave with his creepy hands and then like the light shining in is only hitting his eyes and they are very much Sith eyes.
Yep.
It's like we had all these questions about whether this was a Sith story, and it absolutely is. I think the director or the showrunner, Leslie Headland, she had confirmed that that was in fact Plagueis. And that really explains for me the tie-in with the Coven of Witches who created life using the Force, because as you know, Plagueis was the one responsible for mastering the creation of life and saving his loved ones and all the things that brought Anakin to the dark side. So, his introduction was just a moment in all of Star Wars history where I was like, fuck yes. Like I was literally as excited as the dual saber in 99. Like that's the one where I was like, oh shit's getting real now. Yeah. Too bad it happened in the finale. And I'm only being selfish when I say that. Like, I just want more. Give me more, give me more, give me more. Now, what they're hanging on is this having a season 2.
I hope. I really hope.
We all hope. We loved season 1. We need ourselves a season 2 so we could get more of the growth of the relationship between Osha and Chimere. We need to understand how Plagueis was maybe manipulating things throughout the entirety of this season, and we didn't even realize it potentially. So yeah, like those kinds of things need to happen. And I was cautious heading into this. I said, give me my space wizards and laser swords, and I think I'll be okay. They did that. I actually understand some of the criticism that this show has received. For example, the twin girls, they didn't look anything alike, but when they're adults, they look exactly alike. It just doesn't make any sense to me, like for continuity. But apart from that, it was really entertaining. And I thoroughly enjoyed my watching experience when it came to the Acolyte. Other people definitely have a different opinion. That's okay, to each his own. I loved it, and if you hated it, you're wrong. But anyway,
agreed.
But but let's talk about that. Like, there were imperfections. Like, nothing is perfect, and this show was not void of imperfections. Tabs, was there anything in terms of the show where you watched it and you were just like, I'm not too sure about that. I'm not sure I like
it. This isn't my original opinion. I heard it from somewhere else, but once I heard it, I gestated on it and
it made sense.
It made sense.
Right.
Maybe less would have been more. Do we need Yord? I mean, we love Jackie. Did we need her? Like, they could have trimmed it down and made it more just about Soul and Osha. Why was Soul so in love with Osha? Like,
kind of weird when you put it that way, please.
Yeah, no, but really though, like as a Jedi, he immediately, and like again, we just watched the whole season today. Right before he died, he's like, and I was like, is he gonna say I love you? Like,
I'm sure that's
Jedi,
what he's
you're not supposed to have that type of emotion.
I think he knew he was like gonna clock out on life, and so he's like, fuck it, I love you, but because you chose me.
Don't get me wrong, I love Soul. Even though he's flawed, they portrayed him as deeply flawed. I loved him, but to form that attachment that quickly to a little kid, I'm just like, why? I need to know more. So
I know
no, go ahead.
I know that I was gonna say I know they kind of hinted that that one episode, the flashback episode, that he was talking to that he needed or he wanted a Padawan, and like lo and behold, like this young force sensitive high M count prodigy falls on their lap, and now he's like, oh, this is it, this is the force talking to me. So yeah, I don't know, you're right. Now to put it in context,
I think that's what it was. They really highlighted his desire to have a Padawan, and Indara was telling him, this is why you don't have a Padawan, because he was emotional and he wasn't quite mature enough to be a master to a Padawan. Yeah. And then like the other thing too is that like he, because of that, he sees helpless little girls and he immediately goes into dad mode.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's what it is. Like
Sweet dad. Again,
Yeah.
like I'm portraying it as creepier than I even take it as. Like I love Soul. Absolute sweetheart of a dad. But like you went so far so quickly. I want to know why.
Yeah.
Like he mentioned as he was taken away as a kid and stuff like that. Like was that more traumatizing than,
well, I'm
he's
sure
letting
being taken away
on?
from your family is pretty traumatizing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but like,
Just a
did he
guess.
carry that more than most Jedi do,
Yeah, I think Soul was one of the more emotional ones, and
Mhm.
like he really tried to convey that he wasn't, but he just let his emotion kind of overwhelm him in terms of the love that he had for Osha.
Yeah.
Call it like dad instincts or, creepiness. I don't know. But
Call it creepy. Like it came off as creepy-ish if you want to portray it that way, but I choose not to. I'm like, no, he just genuinely loved this child and thought he was doing the best that he could for her. Like I take it as total like loving dad vibes.
Yeah.
So, I was he portrayed more problematic in the last couple of episodes? Yep. Do I still love him to pieces? Yep.
Yeah, and I still had questions of whether he was somehow, up until I saw Plagueis, I had some questions about whether he was involved with Chimera. Just from like the emotional, like the overwhelming of emotions. Like obviously that's the path to the dark side. And so we saw some of that, saw so much of that throughout the season that I wondered if like that was his tie-in to being one of the bad guys. But evidently it wasn't. He was just somebody who was just like, I want to protect you, and I'm just going to try to justify all my lies and deceit so that I can protect you. I'm doing what I felt was best for you, which, I can applaud, but like, damn, dude, you stabbed their mom.
Accident though. He didn't do it on purpose. She was a black smoke monster. Like,
Whoa. That's their word.
Damn. What the is wrong with y'all? I don't
y'all
know.
are racist.
Wow. Wow. I don't even know where to go with that. Okay.
But
Moving
I mean,
along.
it's funny you mentioned that because I'm sorry, I know we're gonna talk about like the things I didn't like, but I actually wanted to play on like how I like that scene because it was a bit loaded because I think contextually, that's the best part of fiction is when they do stuff that mirrors like real world things in a sense that Soul and the Jedi are supposed to be this law enforcement higher power,
Right.
and then they're coming down on like basically a minority group who yes they may be like practicing a religion that they don't like, but that doesn't mean they're wrong. And then the moment that the mother
was there outside of the jurisdiction too,
right?
like
I got lots of questions. Like if that happened here, I'm like, hey man, hey, that. So and then the fact that Saul pulled his lightsaber out when we don't even know what I'm sorry, what's the mother witch's name? What was she really gonna do? Like from a different context, I was thinking like maybe she was just trying to reach out to the May when she was younger. But Saul took it as aggression. So the first thing he does is stab her right in the chest. I'm like, oh, dude, like what happened to talking it out? I thought you're supposed to be like,
I can't say that that didn't look like aggression.
Yeah.
I mean, her eyes turned black. She's turned into the dust monster and was just like, hey man, what's going on here?
That's true. You're right.
It looks like I might just get choked out by some dust here. So yeah, did the right thing.
Can't blame him, but
my opinion.
She was coming at me. Yeah, okay, that's what the cops say, Erik.
Yep.
Okay, Luis. What did
I mean, yeah.
Luis, what was your biggest like, I'm not sure about that from the season?
I unfortunately going back to the Coven scenes, again, props if you're a child actor and you're trying to, break into the industry from this, but unfortunately for me, it had to be when that flashback scene when the twins or that episode when they go back. Unfortunately, like I don't know what it was about like the twins when they were younger. Like it just took me out of the episode. Like when you
annoying.
that's my problem. I don't know why. Like maybe that's why I personally love Stranger Things because like they cast some really great child actors who are I was just talking to a friend about it. Ironically, they're going to be playing middle school kids and they're like in their 20s now.
Yeah.
But at least originally the first season, they were playing like they were 10-year-olds or, they were tweens and they were playing these great roles and you fell in love with these kids. This one, I couldn't. Like, I know how important that flashback was because it puts context into this whole show. And unfortunately, like, I don't know if it was the direction or the casting. It just didn't fall for it. It didn't hit for me. And unfortunately, that affected my enjoyment of the first few episodes. It wasn't until they kind of put that in the back burner and they're like, here we are in the present now, that I'm like, I'm back in. But yeah,
then they did one more flashback episode before they hit you with the finale.
But at least that flashback, I dug that. Like, I talked to some friends. It's like an old, like, it's obviously the same scene from a different perspective, but at least from that perspective, it's like, okay, it adds to it. That first episode was just so jarring. It wasn't even like a speed bump in my enjoyment. That was like a full stop. It was like, oh, okay, child, please, like, act better or do something.
No, I agree.
Child,
please.
Getting
so mad at May's character in particular. I was just like, I hate this kid. Like,
am I supposed to care for these kids at this point? I'm like, come on, dude. But yeah. So I think unfortunately that was it because like you said earlier, Tab, like maybe less would have been more. Maybe cut back on that scene a little bit less, or again, I'm not a casting guy, but find better kid actors that could pull off that role. But unfortunately, that kind of fell short for me, and it really did kind of hamper my enjoyment of that first half of the series. But like I said, thankfully it picks up after the big stranger reveal or Darth. What'd you call it? Smilo Ren. Smilo Ren reveal.
More Chimere. Come on.
Yeah. So when you said less is more, my brain immediately went to, no, these things are only half-hour episodes. We can't have less of that. But I get what you're saying in terms of less is more, like content and context versus length.
Like, I want to know more about Chimere. Obviously, they're gonna not obviously. Hopefully, they explain that more in season 2. But
I think they will, like, especially with Vernestra.
Exactly.
Like playing such a bigger role towards the end of the season. Yeah. There was a whole bunch of,
what is that? What's going on there?
Former Padawan. Yeah. That we know for sure. He's a former Padawan.
We watching the season again today, that wasn't confirmed at all.
I read it during our watch. But, it's confirmed.
But in the show, at least, she's just like, it's you. So she knows him. She has a connection to him, but nobody ever confirmed that they are, Master Padawan.
But they are.
Yeah.
But my favorite part of that scene where she's like, it's you. He immediately turned back into Jason from The Good Place and like, oh shit, my helmet.
Yeah.
I thought that was just me. I know that was trying to play out like it's Jason for The Good Place, but at the same time, I felt like it was very like, he reverted to being the Padawan. Like he was like, oh shoot, like teacher, master found me, so he has to put on this.
I'm in trouble now.
Yeah, this force cloaking helmet. So it's like, it's triggering. Like obviously, it's signs of abuse. They weren't very subtle about it. Homegirl has a lightsaber whip, and he has scars on his back. Like, come on, dude, not very subtle, guys.
So I like that play. Like, at first you're like, oh, he's such a good actor. He can play this kid from the apothecary, and like, hello.
My favorite part, by the way, if you picked up on that, Lewis, that's how I started the show today. Hello. That's his thing. And when they do the big reveal of him being the stranger, May comes in and he just looks at her and just like goes from dark to goofy again and goes, hello.
Well, and that's where I kind of took it as like, obviously he's a badass, but he's reckless and brutal. And I think he's putting on a front as far as that goes. I think he was / still is guy from the apothecary, like the kind of humbled, like stumbling, not sure of himself kind of guy. So this whole like, the stranger persona is just that. It's a persona. That's not who he really is.
By the way, off topic, but kind of on topic, apothecaries. The first time I ever heard of one was from Schitt's Creek. David Rose.
Funny.
Ew, David.
Ew.
Ew, David.
Great show, by the way.
One of the best shows.
Potentially a rewatch for us.
Well, we have to.
Yeah, we should. But anyway, we're talking Star Wars here.
But yeah, I felt that, especially that whole thing with Osha, where he's literally trying to seduce her, the sexiest times in Star Wars history. Goodness.
If you're not going to join me, I'd like to put my clothes back on.
Does it feel good to hold it in your hand?
Whoa!
Hey, Jason from the good place.
I'm gonna buy a fan for this room just because she's like, oh my God.
But again, I think this is, and he's good at it, don't get me wrong, but I think that's the act. I think he is an insecure, still a Padawan that literally got whipped in the back by his master. He's still trying to overcome that. And my other question is he Plagueis's apprentice, or is he a threat to the Sith? And so Plagueis, as the apprentice, is coming after him as like the next competitor. We don't know.
Yeah,
that's a good question. We don't know at this stage whether Plagueis is an apprentice or a master.
Right.
I would think he's a master solely because of his eyes. Like, you don't reach that level of dark side power until you see those eyes.
That's not true though, because Anakin had those eyes and he was never like the Sith master.
True, but he was powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, but at that time he was already Darth Vader, just without the breathing apparatus. Technically, yes.
Right. So I don't know.
Hold on, let me just fix my glasses real quick.
So, but yeah, I'm thinking that you're right. He was this like insecure, goofy doofus before he was found and brought to the dark side. I honestly feel like he died when he turned to the dark side, kind of like Anakin did.
Yeah.
He was formerly a DJ from Jacksonville, Florida.
He was pretty successful.
And he was pretty successful as a Sith. But no, it's the more we learn about like the Sith and the bad guys in the Star Wars universe, the more we want to learn about them. It happened with Darth Vader. It happened with Darth Maul. It's happening with Chimere. His name escapes me, but the guy from Ahsoka, the guy who Balin.
Oh, yeah.
Love that guy.
I loved Balin's character. And like every time we get a dark side force wielder, I'm like, tell me more.
Yeah. Well, and I've always said this. I think villains are more interesting. I always like
when done right, absolutely,
Yeah. Like Thanos is one of my favorite characters, period.
Oh, you mean Thanos?
Yeah.
How many episodes are we into this?
We'll never get over it.
We're never gonna
ever. Darth Maul, the second I saw that guy, in love. Like, I've been obsessed with Darth Maul since second one of seeing him.
You know what's
that interesting of like I've read his books and stuff like that, and obviously watched like Clone Wars and everything, and I'm like, he's actually not even that most interesting of a villain, but obsessed. Like, I think he's so much better than a lot of the characters we're given that are good.
I honestly feel like episode 1 only gave us half of what we deserve.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. The other half went down the shaft.
Luis, you can't keep setting us up like this.
I can't. I don't even mean it.
Laying them up there for us to knock out of the park, dude.
I can't say words.
No, literally,
it's hard.
We're pretty terrible.
Why more words when less work?
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
So I am so we all loved it, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think at the beginning of the beginning of our reviews of the Acolyte, we gave ratings. You guys remember your ratings?
I think I said 7.5 or 8.
No, you were more generous. I think you and Eric were up there. I was the one who was
for the 7.
So Luis was the 7.5.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You were the
and
8.
He was an 8.
And I was an 8.5.
Yeah.
Okay. So oh, you know what? I didn't tell you what my are we sure about that? Was for the series.
Oh, right.
Okay. And I 100% agree with you guys. the little girls, they didn't look alike. They were supposed to be twins, but they grew up and they looked alike. And I'm just like, that's confusing. And then their acting chops weren't all that great. They just randomly started bickering with each other. And I think they were trying to do the whole like, hey, they're kids and kids bicker, but like really not out of nowhere like that. Like it's usually cause and effect. Like we're parents, we know.
Yeah, the director has no children, so
yeah, clearly.
I mean, I'm a sucker for like animals or wildlife in general. So immediately May tries to murder this like butterfly thing going on. Like immediately, I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Red flag.
And what's funny is that she wasn't the dark one.
Yeah,
she was the nice one of the two. Yeah. Nice-ish one of the two towards the end of the season. Yeah. But then like Osha's like, you know what?
Yeah.
Her problems. So, but yeah, that was my big issue. I think, you know, when Osha and May were adults, they were far better in terms of characters and much more relatable and like it's so much better on screen. But the flashbacks with the kids, like probably there are probably two other little girls out there or some twins out there who are like, I could have done so much better.
Yeah.
And their parents are like, we should have cast them in this role. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So, okay. Back to the ratings. 10 scale. Luis, you had a 7.5. Mm-hmm. Tabs, you had an 8. Mm-hmm. I had an 8.5. Mm-hmm. So, Luis, let's start with you. Did the 7.5 rating continue through the end of the season? Go.
No, I think it got better. I'm gonna finish the overall. I'm gonna give it like an 8.5, almost teetering on 9, almost a perfect show.
Almost teetering.
Almost teetering. Because yeah, like I said, it's a show of two halves. The second half was more than enough to make me a fan all over again and make me want more, which I think it's all I can ask for in a season. I mean, we got some closures on a lot of issues. We unfortunately we found Soul's ultimate fate. You know, he did pay for his hubris and for his actions. You know, but
hubris, still, $3 word. Well done.
See, you can't use that. You can't use that out of context, you jerks. So, gotcha. I know.
What, did you say hubris? You can't get anything biased, man.
So yeah, like it answered a lot of great questions. It wrapped up a lot of the plots, but it left enough they asks us for more. You know, where's May and Chimere's relationship gonna go? What's you know what's next for Venestra? And yeah, Plagueis obviously front and center. Like he's just a overwhelming, overarching. He's almost like Thanos at the end of the first Avengers movie when he's like, you know, not the first Avengers movie, but
do it myself.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh, what's gonna happen from here? And you know, what's the Virgins all about, or what is the Virgins? Was it the twins? Was there something else?
I think it was supposed to be the tree, if I am understanding correctly. I don't know for sure, but I think it was the tree.
I just love the mythos, dude. Like you played the Last Jedi games, or what was it? Jedi Survivor games. Yeah. You know, you guys obviously watch Rebels, and they add so much lore to the Star Wars universe that it's like this is just gonna add to it, and I love it. And I think the only fans that don't like it are the ones that don't care for it. Ironically, they don't play the games, they don't read the books, they don't like put the time in to watch the Bad Batch or Rebels, and there's like, oh, how do you do that? I'm like, no, dude, there's so much to it. But anyway, so yeah, definitely bumping up the 7 I started off with to I'll be
a whole point.
Yeah, a whole point, 8.5, dude. So solid. Definitely, if you're a fan, gotta check it out.
All right. Tabs, do you concur?
Yeah, I'm gonna bump mine up to a 9. It was so good. I loved it. Like Luis was saying, just to jump on that, like the second half of the season was amazing, but Chimera is incredibly interesting. I want to know all about him.
Yeah. Also, I need answers now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have so many questions, like the relationship between him and Venestra. What is this thing between him and Plagueis? Like, where does this all fit into the rule of 2? Like, and then now him and Osha, who fucking badass. We haven't even talked about this yet. so emotional and powerful that she bled a crystal. Like, we've never seen that live before.
Yes.
That was incredible.
Yeah, that was arguably my favorite scene, had it not been for Plagueis' reveal.
Yeah. And I just like, I love Star Wars. I've seen all the movies. I've seen most of the newer shows. I haven't seen all of like Clone Wars. That was too much for me. But I feel like I'm more of a fan than the general public. And even still, there's a lot that I don't know. I haven't read the extended universe since meeting Erik. Like, he's taught me a lot about, like, you know, Darth Revan and Darth Bane, who started the Rule of Two, stuff like that. And all of that's just interesting to me. It's so interesting. And my biggest thing about this show was my whole life, again, watched Star Wars my entire life. I thought Jedi were pure white knights, just absolutely good. And so with Darth Revan in particular, that's where I was introduced, like, oh no, they're not purely good. There's some corruption in there. And then with this show, they're exploring, like, they're just people. Sure, they try to wipe out their emotion, but that's not possible. Like the senator at the end of the episode came in, loved that, thought that was so good. And I'm like, no, like, they try to be as pure as they can, but they're not. They're all so fallible.
Yes.
And there's a lot going on in there that we've just never explored before. So to get that, like, you know, lifelong ideology turned on its head, and we're like, actually, this is what's going on here. I'm fascinated. I loved it.
Wow. Yeah. So you jumped a whole point too.
I did.
From 8 to 9.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready for a surprise?
Do you go down?
No,
I was due for one.
Sorry. But I did remain at an 8.5. Okay.
Fair.
I don't think I could have given it a 9 because it had the imperfections that we talked about. You know, I felt like the kids were really, it was really tough to get into the story with their dialogue. It was very tough to watch from that front. I guess I was disappointed that my fan theories didn't turn out right, but other than the Plagueis thing, the Plagueis thing really did it for me in terms of just excitement. Like you said, the Kyber crystal bleed happening as she's just like falling to the dark side.
Dad.
And like, killing her. Yeah.
Dad ever. That was her dad. Oh.
Yeah. And she was just, you know, they really touched on her leaving the Jedi a lie. And the reason why was because she had so much trauma and so much lack of control of her emotions that she needed to leave the order. And so she went on to live a life, you know, freelancing as a ship mechanic, and never really tapping in to the trauma that caused her to leave the order in the first place. And when it starts bubbling up again, she really just lets it go. She just lets it go. And that note really hit when she pushed Chimera up against the wall of the cave and she lit the lightsaber. And, you know, it's like, oh shit. So you're kind of pissed off still. I get it. Yeah. I get it. And you know, for 16 years, she thought one thing. And the person that was her father figure, turns out, was lying to her this entire time.
Yeah.
And said, no, I killed your mom.
Yep. My bad.
You loved your mom.
My bad.
Yeah. Sorry, but like you said, big dust cloud, need to stab it. So yeah. Give me all the space wizards and laser swords, and you're gonna have my attention. Did it jump up for me? No. I felt like, oh, wow, you're just knocking over mics now.
There was a little bug, but okay.
But yeah, got everything that I wanted. I knew going in that it wasn't going to be perfect, and I feel like my prediction for how it was going to be was pretty spot on in terms of what to expect, like the story and the impact and what things mean. So I'm good with that, and I'm still sticking with an 8.5.
And I guess another reason I would give it a 9 is, was the show itself perfect? No, of course not.
No.
But half of the fun has been watching it week to week and speculating and discussing it.
Yes.
Like the whole journey, this 2 months now, has been incredible.
And I think that's what a lot of people are missing, is that there's supposed to be like a cliffhanger, like with so much, like Justin hit it perfectly when he said, like, so many people want like gratification now, instant gratification. And that's the point where we are now with television. Like, we're in the streaming world where we either get things immediately when we want it, or we get an entire season right there for us to just binge all weekend. And like, so many people are not, I guess, not used to anymore. Hey, we just went through this episode. There were some questions left unanswered. Yeah. Tune in next week to figure out if this was something that you were into.
And I love that, because you didn't watch it. I don't know if you did, Lewis, but I was huge into Lost. So watching that week by week, going into work the next day and discussing it with people, like, it was a whole thing. And you can't like get that back. You can't recreate it. It was a journey. And that was so much fun. Like, part of my love for Lost will continually be tied to those discussions and the theories and the what ifs. And I didn't get mad if my what if didn't happen. It was just fun to talk about,
Yeah.
Like,
it's the conversation. It kept the conversation going. And I think that's what Disney has done well with these shows, is that they haven't said, all right, here's the entire season, enjoy it. No, they've extended into a 2-month, 3-month conversation. And that's what you want to do from a marketing perspective. Like, you want to stay in the conversation for an extended period of time. And
it's all released at once. Like, most people binge it one weekend and then it's forgotten about 2 weeks later.
Yeah. Like, I think is Stranger Things' biggest weakness.
Yes.
Is that we get the entire season, people fucking go through it, and we talk about it for a few days and it's done. And I think that, like, that doesn't do a lot of great things for a show.
Right.
If you don't leave the anticipation and the cliffhangers, if you don't give the audience unanswered questions, people tend to say, yes, I'm talking about it. And then they move on to the next thing.
It's just done.
And I'm good with how they carried this. So let's talk about fan theories heading into season 2.
Oh, okay.
So we've seen the series. We have some questions and we have opinions, I'm sure. Of course we do, because we have a podcast. We have opinions about what we think is going to happen next. Tabs, I'm going to start with you this time.
Actually, I was going to let Lewis start, because he posted something that I've been thinking about a lot.
Okay, tell me what he posted so he knows how to lead into this.
Just to start off the conversation. You said, Lewis, that we don't know how we get there, and maybe you have an idea about that, but Plagueis kills Osha, and that sends Chimera spinning. So
I could see that.
Yeah.
All right, Lewis, break it down.
That could be the crux of season 2, only because I think, the unfortunate part of Sith lore is loss. And you can't, there's nothing worse, obviously, than the loss of a loved one. And that's obviously what they're, every, weirdo, or not weirdo, but like everybody who's like, loving the May and Chimera relationship is thinking, like, this is going to be like the Rey and Kylo that everybody wanted during the sequel trilogy. We finally get it in, like, but to take it away would be the worst, best, dick move that Plagueis could pull. And, this could trigger what it is exactly that he's trying to, Plagueis for me is a big question mark, because, I mean, Eric, the lore better than I do, or even the extended universe lore. But, like, is he, was he like a scientist? Was he somebody who's like looking into the sciences of the dark side? Like, what is he exactly trying to trigger from his apprentices? Is he even like, he didn't exactly answer if he was like you said earlier, like, is he Chimera's master? Is he just a weirdo peeping Tom right now who like who yeah, maybe he sensed like May was part of that virgins, and it's like, okay, there's a lot of power in this, and we obviously have Kymir, who's very Sith and Force sensitive. So like, yeah, there's like it could, yeah, if May goes down like early or halfway into this second season, it would be an incredible like pull under the rug. It's gonna be the crux of this of Kymir's either hero journey or him becoming the worst thing that happened to the Jedi since Anakin's march into Coruscant that year or that one time. So yeah,
that
I
one
think
time.
That one time at Coruscant.
Yeah, that one.
I like you were kind of touching on earlier, and not the unfortunate thing, but we already know how this story ends. It doesn't end with Kymir being Sidious's master. So we know something happens to him.
Right. Yeah.
So what is it? We don't know yet.
Yeah,
but
we don't know. We don't know the order in which the Sith take master or apprentice.
Right. But we know something happens because Plagueis is Sidious's master. So what happens here? We don't know. We're gonna find out.
Maybe
Okay.
Plagueis had some apprentices between went through them a little bit, but you never know.
Exactly.
Tabs, what's your theory for what's going to happen next?
So I like what we just discussed. I want to, just because I think it'd be interesting, so this is a fan theory that I heard. I didn't come up with this, but that Kymir is the first Knight of Ren. He is Ren, essentially.
Hmm.
We don't know his,
Interesting.
yeah, right. And we don't know his Darth name. We've never heard Darth Kymir.
He said he doesn't
like
have a
that.
name, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
He's never said he's a Sith. That's not been confirmed. So we don't know.
He just said your kind might call me.
Exactly.
He didn't say
I have
a.
no name.
Yeah, he never said I am a.
Exactly.
He said you people.
So yeah, priceless. But so
You
I like
space cops.
the idea. I like the idea that he went rogue for whatever reason after leaving Venestra. She whipped him in the back. And he decided to do his own thing. And then Plagueis looks at him as like a threat to his own apprenticeship. Because maybe Plagueis right now is still an apprentice. We don't know. We know nothing about this. It's 100 years before the menaces.
The menaces.
So there's a lot of time to play with right now, but I like that he is literally, like he said, trying to do his own thing. He just wants to wield his power through his own means. He doesn't want to be told what to do at all. Right. So I'm pulling for that. I think more than anything, like, sure, it's a Sith story now that Plagueis has been introduced, but I like that Kymir might just be his own thing. Just like Baylan. We loved Baylan because he said, I am not light or dark side. I'm actually here to end the Force, period. Because I'm outside of both sides and I see the corruption in everything and I want it all to go away.
He was wise to the game. He was wise to the game. He would have seen Vernestra and be like, bitch, I see you doing your thing with your bald green ass. Like, you're lying. Oh, this poor guy's soul, he was tortured with his guilt and he just wanted the best for these little girls. And you're coming through and saying that he's the one that murdered him. That's a bitch move if I ever seen one. And the Force.
And the Force. So conspiracy theory. I don't know, even rewatching it, I'm not sure that this is what happened, but I know you have to choke someone for a solid like 2 minutes for them to die. And Osha only choked Soul for like 30 seconds that we saw. Could have been longer. Fine. But conspiracy theory that I'm kind of holding on to is Soul wasn't dead. He was just passed out. Venestra straight up murdered his ass, set him on fire, and then blamed him for everything.
I'm sorry, my friend, and then just stabs him.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she's evil.
Her and her lightsaber whip.
Yeah, it's loaded, man.
Lightsaber? Come on.
Yeah. Was reading a little bit about her while we were rewatching. Apparently she was the youngest Jedi Knight in the organization's history. 15 years old, was knighted as a Jedi. after
Interesting.
she was 15 years old when she became a knight and moved on from Padawan.
Okay. Oh,
And she had hair.
She got stressed out, man. Being the youngest knight just stresses you out, dude.
I don't know. She had purple hair, looked fine.
Huh?
Then one day she's like, you know what? I'm gonna show off my dome tats.
Oh boy.
Gonna go Grace Jones up in here, dude.
Yeah. That alopecia is a motherfucker.
Yeah. So what actually speaking of the force choke and all that stuff, I have a question for you two, since you guys just rewatched it. One of the themes that they introduced early on, or one of the tests that I think Chimere or the Stranger gave May, was that you have to kill a Jedi without using a weapon. Correct me if I'm wrong.
We talked about this last time.
Here's the part that I read somewhere and now I can't shake it. Was the test for May, which you know, in one way you can say, oh, she passed because she was able to master the force and force choked soul, or was a test, or Osha, I'm sorry, or was a test on Chimere because he didn't even have to lift a sword or anything, lift a finger. He just manipulated the heck out of Osha into killing a Jedi. And like, is he the student in this case? You know, so it's like, you know, was that what it meant? Like, kind of like, I mean, again, the best part about Palpatine was that technically, besides his fight with Yoda, like he orchestrated the downfall of the Jedi without lifting a finger. He just manipulated the poo out of everybody, and like, you know, machinations and all this, you know, whispering into ears and creating clone armies off planet and all that stuff. So yeah, maybe that's I thought about, I read that somewhere, and I'm like, I couldn't shake it. I'm like, oh dude, that's actually pretty clever, because maybe that was his test. Like he wanted to know if he could kill a Jedi without fighting. I mean, technically he fought Saul, but yeah.
Well, and I had the question. So when we first covered, was it just the first episode of Acolyte?
First episodes.
And I said, I said, how do you kill someone without using a weapon? Or like, oh, just beat them to death. I'm like, well, that's pretty atrocious. Okay. But I had posed, like, is using the force a weapon?
Right.
Like, does that count? And I'm wondering if maybe this might be the first time that a force choke was ever used, ever.
Oh, because canonically, I mean, chronologically, obviously it's Vader, but
right. But he's after. So
this is canonically much earlier than Vader.
So is Osha the first one to ever kill someone using the force? Like, I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I go to the archives.
Let me check the archives.
No, I guess that's a good segue into my theories about what I think is going to happen. Both of you said some really good ones, by the way. Like, those just get me more hyped for a potential season 2, which we hope we get. Fingers crossed.
Please.
I think what's obvious is that Plagueis is going to play a larger role. His introduction into live action is something that I think a lot of people, Star Wars fans from all over, have been really wanting to see for a good long time. It also gives me hope that we're going to draw from some old Republic stuff and bring that live action one day. You know, hopefully during my lifetime. If not, I'll watch it as a Force ghost, whatever. But yeah, it's obvious that he's going to play a bigger role in season 2. We're going to get more explanation as to what he was doing in that cave. I also think that they're going to connect him and the witches. Like, I feel like the witches knew how to do what they did based off of Plagueis's teachings. And I think earlier you mentioned maybe it was the other way around. Maybe it was the witches who taught him. And that could potentially be something too. My thing with that is that Sith knowledge is passed on from master to apprentice, master to apprentice, master to apprentice. And, you know, his knowledge of the Force, I think, was a gift to the witches. And I think what he taught them how to do, in addition to creating life, was becoming the dust monster, blackening out their eyes. And I think the point that jumps out to me is when Osha puts on the helmet and then all of a sudden starts like convulsing. And Chimere, in a rare show of like emotional attachment, was like, Osha, and he runs to her and like he freezes and his eyes turn black. A minute after that, they fly off into space and Plagueis is revealed. So I honestly feel like Plagueis was the one manipulating things behind the scenes. I think there's a huge potential for Chimere to be his apprentice, and that Chimere is trying to look for his apprentice so that he could take the mantle of Sith, Dark Lord of the Sith. And then when he doesn't, and this is probably a couple of seasons down the line, when he doesn't, that's where Palpatine comes into play. Yeah. That's my theory for what I think is going to happen in season 2 going forward.
No, I agree. And again, rewatching it, you and I both were like, there's a couple of things that don't quite add up. Like, we love Chimere. He's clearly powerful, but he's reckless.
Yes.
I don't think he's all powerful. Right. And so there's a couple of things that happened. I think it was episode 1, it was episode 1 where Osha was getting Force visions about her sister, but neither one of them knew about that. May didn't know about that, so May wasn't sending those visions. Yeah. We're like, well, then who's sending those?
Yeah, and then happening? For a moment we think it's Chimere.
Yeah,
but then Chimere's caught up in the same web, getting thrown into that dark background with echoes in the background. So
there's just a couple of things here and there. We're like, there's no real good explanation for these. So Plagueis manipulating the strings behind the scenes. Yeah, that explains a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it makes sense.
I think, that math checks out.
Yeah.
So hopefully, selfishly speaking, hopefully they go that direction in season 2. Now, are they going to do a season 2? We don't know. The good people at the Institute for Geek Nerdism, IGN, gave this show a 6. And that's out of 10, and I can't agree with that. Yeah, boo to them. Unless they want to host our podcast. In that case, yeah, we love IGN, but until then, that was a bad rating. I think a lot of people are being influenced by the hate this show gets. We don't even know if the hate is genuine.
Through them,
they're letting the hate flow through them. But you know what? They're not Jason from The Good Place, so we don't give a shit about what they think. So like, I'm really hoping that Disney sees this and says, okay, we need to make another season of this. And they still have to make another season of Andor. They have to make another season of Ahsoka. I think my understanding was that Obi-Wan was a mini series and that there isn't
supposed to be a one and done.
Yeah, one and done. But I felt like that was selling it short. Like, you could do so much more with Obi-Wan. Fair. And the only multi-season run that we've had of a show is Mandalorian.
Because even Boba Fett, like, same thing. People hated it across the board for some reason. I thought it was fine. Like, was it perfect? No. Was it entertaining? Yes.
Yeah.
But it seems like
I think it. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, it was so negatively received that we probably won't get a season 2, which is a bummer. I loved it.
Yeah. Fucking stupid.
Yeah.
All right. We're starting our own production company, guys. We're buying the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah, I love Tamora Morrison. I want him in every gig and everything, because he's a wonderful actor, and we need more of him.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw Lewis without his glasses just now. This handsome gentleman, this guy, look at him get all shy. He's all red like he's been on a fishing boat all day.
I'm like, Chimere taking a bath in the hot springs.
How does it feel
to hold one in your hand again? Oh, dude.
If you're not going to join me.
Granted, Erik and I choose to make everything dirty, but that was some of the steamiest stuff.
Literally, the water was steaming in the scene.
Goodness.
Yeah, I had to check the room, make sure nobody was watching me watch this. I'm like, I swear this is Star Wars, guys.
Dad, you're into hot Asian dudes? What's going on here?
I mean,
yeah.
Okay, calm down. I need to go take a shower.
Cool off.
Go cool off.
I did. I wrote this down a few days ago, and I'll just kind of go off it a little bit. But I talked to Erik about this. Like, again, more than a standard fan. Like, I love Star Wars. I really do. Do I know everything about it? No. But I think that like the hardcore fans forget that there's people that aren't as involved as they are. And so they're crapping all over this show for whatever reason. Who knows why? But they forget that there's other people that don't know Star Wars as much as they do, and they're going to get so much more enjoyment out of something like this. And again, like I said, my entire life thought Jedis were bright white knights. Purely good. I slowly got introduced to maybe that wasn't the reality with, again, Erik's favorite, Darth Revan. And I was like, ooh, interesting. Okay. And then this show introduces, hey, they're just people too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
They're manipulating shit behind the scenes. They're pulling some dirty tricks.
And that's where the senator coming in, by the way, is Martian Manhunter, which I loved from Supergirl. He was amazing. So to see him was entertaining. And then the things he's bringing forth, he was like, one of y'all's gonna lose control soon.
Dude, he laid the hammer down. He's like, you guys are, unchecked power, posing as a religion, and then called them a cult. And I was like, damn.
Again, we talked about this last time. They kidnap children. You cannot see your family ever again. You have to shut down your emotions. Like, in context, woof. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot.
So these ideas are fascinating. Again, the 2-month journey, just having these, fan theories back and forth, trying to figure out what's going on. Like, it's been a joy.
Yes.
And so for people that are choosing to not enjoy it, that's your choice. Like, you're choosing to be angry about this.
Is their loss. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, other than that, it was entertaining.
Yeah.
32 to 48 minutes worth of my time.
Yeah, there is like premium, good quality sci-fi Star Wars stuff out there that people refuse to watch just because, oh, it's a cartoon, whatever. Oh, it's not a Skywalker story, whatever. Like, dude, you're missing out, man. Or,
I've even heard complaints like, oh no, now this is tied into the Skywalker saga because now Plagueis is introduced. I'm like, we literally cannot make you happy.
We can't make, Star Wars fans are the worst. We are the best, but we are the worst.
Yeah.
So a real quick thing that I wanted to ask you guys, wanted to get your takes. So the Osha Chimere love relationship that is most definitely going to happen. Do we call it Omir or Keisha?
Oh. I like Omir more because it's less like, okay, Loquisha.
Damn. Louis, what do you think?
I don't know. I like Keisha, man. It works. It kind of rolls off the tongue, man. I mean, hashtag Keisha, man.
Fun fact, though, anytime we were texting about this show and I'd type in OSHA, it would capitalize all the letters because it's like, oh, you mean the
occupational safety hazard assessment.
It's like, no, Star Wars iPhone, get it right.
Okay.
You mean wear a hard hat whenever you're in a construction? It's like, no.
I mean, it is cortosis, right? It is a hard hat.
Oh.
He was he was trying to make himself OSHA certified. Certified girl. And then when he held her hand while she was holding the lightsaber at the end.
She was holding it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it feel good to hold it again?
It felt good to hold it again. All right, we're almost done. Any final thoughts you guys want to get out there, Tabs? I know you're looking at your notes.
Yeah,
I'm like, what else? So many things to say.
Really quick. Again, love Saul. Love him.
Love Saul.
Doesn't matter. Like, yeah, he's apparently problematic. Whatever. But looking at it from May's perspective in that final episode when he's chasing her down through Brendok.
Mm-hmm.
And he's screaming her name like, yeah. From her perspective, that's a horror film.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely would be terrifying.
There's a guy with a laser weapon yelling for you.
Yeah. Like, I loved the duality of the perspectives. Like, just the whole thing was great. Like, you understand the Sith, you understand the Jedi, you understand everybody's perspective. But at the end of the day, here's what happened, and it sucks.
Yeah.
It does suck.
So good.
El Boogie, any final thoughts?
Great show. Hopefully people get off their high horse and actually enjoy these
Yes.
things. We're in a prime time of like nerd stuff like Marvel, Star Wars. Just enjoy it, dudes. But yeah, and I'm actually I got a question, like, do we know what the next you rattled off some of the live actions that don't have a sequel yet. Do we know what's coming up next?
I heard Andor's getting a season 2.
I heard that.
Okay.
Mando's getting a movie, which I guess
is it?
it's getting a movie, which I'm assuming means it's not getting another season.
I thought they were working on another season and a movie. I don't know if those plans have changed of late.
I honestly, with Mando, like, give me a episode by episode, just like bounty hunter going after some dude with his, Yoda baby. I'm totally okay with that.
Mando and the kid.
It doesn't need to be this like involved episodic or like season long thing. Like, give me the episode of the week. I'm into that.
Yep. I'm good with that. Again, thoroughly enjoyed this season. Hoping for another season. Give me more space wizards and laser swords.
I mean, the fighting I've already said is some of the best that we've ever seen besides Duel of the Fates. Even better, arguably, because there was more. Probably one of my favorite Star Wars things ever.
The dueling?
No, the
show.
The show, Acolyte.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I thought they killed it. I'm upset that people don't like it.
Yeah. Again, they're missing out. They're lost. They're lost on that one. Yeah.
They're stupid and dumb and
they're
stupid.
Yeah, and I mean the beautiful thing about like Star Wars is that there's so many like weird corners you can get into. Like this is obviously like it started off as a mystery, but obviously it's a beautiful martial arts, poetry, action thing. Andor is political science, political machinations and all that stuff. Like it's from a a low perspective of the people being affected, and so there's so much more that we can go to, and like people just need to get away. Like again, it's the conundrum of like they don't want it to be a Skywalker thing, but can you make it more about Skywalkers? I'm like, no, dude, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah. Well, I just I read a book the other day my friend let me borrow, and it's from two different perspectives again, and one guy is part of the rebellion and one girl is part of the Empire, and it talks about both of their sides, but the book takes place during the original 3 movies, and even just getting those different perspectives but in still that same timeline was super fascinating. Like there's so much to touch on in this vastly interesting universe, so just enjoy it,
so much more to touch on. And there's a whole galaxy out there for them to explore,
and 2 now. Ahsoka gave us the second galaxy.
Oh, that's true.
They did. Yeah. They did. Excellent. I hope they explore that too. All right. That's all the time we got for today. I want to thank everybody who is streaming or listening to this podcast. We appreciate your support. I want to give a shout out to my sister, Paulette.
Love you,
Fontanez. Paulette. Love you, Paul, because she has a podcast of her own, La Vida Más Chévere, Solo para ti. And she does it on a regular basis. I think it's weekly. It might be bi-weekly. Yeah, or whenever she wants, more power to her. So shout out to her and her podcasts. Tabs, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Besides my handsome husband?
This guy? Okay.
And he's no Manny Jacinto, but I guess.
I was waiting. If
I cannot have the dark side in my life, you'll do.
Damn.
She'll take the brown side, I guess.
Okay. No, I begged him because I bought him the Acolyte poster for his birthday. I begged him, please put that up over that fucking Manning jersey.
Nope.
And he wouldn't do it. So,
not a chance in hell.
This what you get.
You know what else I got? 2 Super Bowl rings.
Gross. Get out of here.
Yeah, but you don't have any against us. That's the point. She's a Pats fan.
Someone wants to sleep on the couch. It's fine.
Hey, it's a nice couch. Lewis, any shout outs?
Yeah, dude. I love the talking Star Wars with you guys. Thanks again for inviting me over. If you're listening and you also want to hear other pop culture stuff, I also have a podcast with some of my college buddies. We talk about all sorts of Marvel, nerdy video games, pop culture stuff. The Two Fanboys and a Filthy Casual. Type it in.
Great
We're
podcast, by the way.
streaming
Yeah, really
in lots
great.
of different places. Thank you guys. But not to mention, this past few weeks, we actually have been doing a weekly podcast on House of the Dragons. We call it a Dorks of the Dragon. We do a we have 8 categories. We break down every episode. Fun. It's mathematically and scientifically calculated for your enjoyment. So
Can confirm it's really enjoyable. I really enjoy listening
so
to
yeah,
it.
if you like House of the Dragons, check us out. We're ramping up for the last few episodes of the season. Very exciting. So
then what are we gonna watch?
No, The Boys is over. Hot D's gonna be over. Acolyte's done. Ugh.
Hot D.
Football.
Oh, House of the Dragon. Like,
House of the Dragon, big. Come on, get with the lingo, El Boogie. Get with
I'm
the
sorry, we
lingo,
went from
man.
Manny Jacinto and Hot D. I'm like, oh.
Hey,
I mean,
there's a whole bunch of
two
it
birds
going
with
around,
song.
man. Don't get her started, please.
All right, you don't have to sleep on the couch anymore.
Oh, thanks.
I have needs.
Yo.
All right.
Good night,
On that
kids.
note, let's end the podcast now. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be back again with some more Summer of MeeVees. Don't know exactly what yet.
I think Dark Knight next week. Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe if we get the time to shoot it.
I've already written notes.
Okay. You want to do Dark Knight with us, Lewis?
Oh yeah, please, just to prove her wrong. What is wrong with her?
Oh,
By the
no.
way?
Absolutely.
Let's end on that note.
I'm coming in hot.
Coming in hot, hotter than
And
the
then,
D.
do we also premise that we're also got another one down the line where somebody, our mutual friend, does not like the Terminator 2?
Oh,
What is
yeah.
wrong with these people? Oh my God.
Dude, why
Oh,
we friends
we
with
are
these
coming
people?
for you.
Yeah, why are we friends with that guy? And why are you married to her, dude? Sorry, man.
Because you were already married, Lewis.
Oh, okay.
That's fair.
Speaking of Hot D.
He doesn't like Army of Darkness, so you gotta make compromises.
Oh, okay. You know what? I don't know. You're right. Nobody's perfect, guys.
Yeah, we all have our shortcomings.
Yeah, I'm only
All right.
5'7".
All right. Goodness.
Peace out, Staches and Glasses. Thanks for mounting up, Stache Gang.